everybody. So I'm going to start with our introduction of Judy today. So, all right, everybody, I am really excited to introduce our guest today, Judy Bradt, the CEO of Summit Insight. Judy is a nationally recognized expert in federal business development, and she brings more than 37 years of experience to the table. She is also the author of an Amazon #1 best-selling book, and her clients have won over $350 million in federal contracts with her guidance. Through her company, Summit Insight, Judy delivers hands-on custom training that helps GovCon teams not just understand the process, but actually build the right relationships to close those deals with buyers who matter most. All right, Judy, you got this.
All right. Thank you so much, Renita. And it's a joy to be with you and the community at WBEC-West today. So how to participate today? Be present. Close the door, close down your other windows. Be here, not just for me, but for each other for the balance of the next hour. Please take notes. Use the chat or Q&A box. Share your experiences, especially in the chat, and I hope when we get to the end through your questions, and ask lots of questions. Are you in? Give me a thumbs up. Sound good? Use lots of icons or put a yes in the chat. All right, this is going to be a very active session. Thank you. Give me those thumbs up. Yes. All righty. So here we go. All right. Where's my mouse? Okay, so get out your notebook and expect to take action, because at the end, I'm going to ask you, what are you going to do as a result of the things you've learned here? All right, very important. I'd like you to start out by an initial self-assessment, okay? I want to write down your score, how strongly you either 1, strongly disagree, or 7, strongly agree with these 3 statements. All right, I'm not going to ask you your score, but I want you to know what your score is as we get started, because we're going to do this at the end, and I am going to ask how much we moved the meter for you. So 1, my company has strong prospects with government buyers. You strongly disagree or strongly agree, or you're in the middle. 1 through 7. Second question, I know the top challenges I can expect. 1, strongly disagree, through 4, undecided, or 7, strongly agree. And 3, I know exactly what my next 3 steps are. Between 1 for strongly disagree to 7, strongly agree. Write down your score for those 3 statements. I don't need to know what it is right now, but we're going to ask at the end. So when you've got your score done, give me a thumbs up so we know we can go. All right? Or just write the word go in the chat if you've got your score completed. Okay? All right. So we're going to get that initial score, and we're going to do this again at the end. All right. So let's get into it. Here's what we're going to cover. How to assess your readiness for government business. What to expect. 7 truths of government business. How to identify real opportunities. What buyers are really looking for. How to get registered. What certifications matter and why. Potential next steps if you're ready. And resources. Yes, we are going to put 10 pounds of sugar in a 5-pound bag. I listened to the things that the team at WBEC-West asked me to cover. They're all related to how do we do business with government. And I also want to answer your questions about whether you ask this question or not. Should we do business with government? Just because you can, honestly, doesn't mean you should. So I want to answer both of those questions, because you're going to spend time and you're going to spend money. All you get to choose is a mix. Whether you are 2 girls in a garage or Northrop Grumman, all of our resources are limited. We got to make good decisions for our business, and I want to help you do that. CEOs want to know, what's the opportunity in government? What's the investment? What's the timeline for getting return on that investment? We're going to answer those questions. How much did the U.S. federal government spend on contracts last year? Federal government fiscal year runs October 1st to September 30th. And so last federal full fiscal year, the federal government awarded contracts worth $773.68 billion. A little over 3/4 of that was won by other than small business, and a little under a quarter was won by businesses that meet the Federal Acquisition Regulation definition of small. The total value of awarded contracts decreased by less than 1%. So it was pretty stable. This year is going to be very different. So I can't even tell you how that's going to turn out. But the number of companies receiving contracts didn't change very much the previous year to last year. It's going to be real interesting to see what those numbers are given the massive changes in policy and in spending this year. What did they buy? Top line, the biggest spend included engineering services, medical, health, air facilities support services, computer design, facilities maintenance, weapons systems, computer-related services. None of these things matter nearly as much as the answer to the question, how much did they spend on what I do? And how much did offices and people who are near where I am spend on things I could have provided to them? And those are the kinds of questions that you do need to ask. So what's so tough about GovCon? After all, billions of dollars get awarded. There are thousands of buyers. Hundreds of solicitations every day and dozens of resources to help you. What's not to like? So, are you ready? Ask yourself, do we have the product and service that government buyer needs at the quality and price they require, and we can deliver perfectly on time and within budget? That's a question to start with. And if the answer is a resounding yes, then I want you to remember 10 words that start with the letter R. The first is reason. Many of you may be familiar with the work of Simon Sinek, an author and strategist who says start with why. So why do you want to win government business? The typical reasons that people cite are, well, we can meet a specific buyer's need. We help government meet their small business goals. I want steady cash flow. These people print the money. How hard can this be? I want to drive long-term business growth. I want a big marquee name client. Or, hey, I want to balance out my business mix. Stuff happens. Of all of these reasons, only 2 of these reasons are the ones that drive the success of companies who do well in the federal arena. Those are these 2. I want to do government business because I do something, I solve a problem that a government buyer has, and winning government business is critical to my plans to grow the company. If one or both of these are true and they are your big reasons for being here, awesome. If you are in it for other reasons or you're not sure, got it. But understand that these 2 are the 2 strongest reasons that are backing candidates who are companies who are successful here. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to drop into the chat, how important is winning government business to your plans to grow the company in the next 12 to 24 months? Not important at all. Hey, we'd answer the phone, or yes, it is critical. It is why we exist 100%. 1 to 10. Let me see it in the chat right now. 1 to 10. How important is government business to your plans to grow the company? We're getting an 8, an 8, an 8, a 6, a 10, an 8, a 4, a 1, 7. Okay. No matter what your answer is, you're in the right place right now. The second is research. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, anybody know who these guys are? Over 50 years ago. Anybody know who these guys are? Put it in the chat. Who are these guys? They are not in Star Wars. Who are these guys? Carl Bernstein and Bob Woodward, 2 journalists who broke the Watergate story, 1972. And the key to research in the federal market is the same advice as Mark Felt, the source known as Deep Throat, gave to Bob Woodward back in 1972. And it is this: follow the money. Federal money means there's public information. It's one of the reasons why people love the federal market. The federal government of our United States does something no other government in the world does. And I know this because I started my career as a trade negotiator. The federal government of the United States publishes over 400 fields of data related to every single contract award by the federal government that on a contract expected to be based more than $25,000 going back over 35 years. And it's available for free online right now. If that doesn't make your head explode, I don't know what does. But I will also tell you nobody's head has actually ever exploded. Why this information is critical. My gosh, imagine those of you who are already doing or pursuing business with corporate, if you could see what they spend and who they awarded it to and when. The federal government is a treasure trove of market intelligence. But that very same flood of opportunities is also killing small suppliers. Because people are looking at this wash of opportunities, thousands of solicitations a day, and asking the question, what can I bid? What can I bid? Who here has heard somebody tell you, it's all on SAM. It's all on SAM.gov. Just write me in the chat if you've heard that, or put up a thumbs up. Who's heard it's all on SAM? It's all on SAM. It's all on SAM. When somebody tells you it's all on SAM, the person who's talking to you, especially if it's a government person, it's actually they're speaking to you in code. What they have actually said to you is this: walk off and die. It's a please go away. You were in front of me asking questions that are so novice that I'm not going to spend any time awarding things to you. Because not. I'm not going to tell you it's all on SAM. Of course it's not. There are billions of dollars of opportunities that never show up there. And figuring that out or not is what makes all the difference to whether or not you struggle to thrive. DoD's small business supplier base is shrinking. Between 2016 and 2022, DoD lost over 43% of its small suppliers. 50 to 60% of new market entrants leave after 5 years. Only 20% of new entrants into the DoD market remain after 5 years. This is a long game and it's a tough one. And over 60% of people who get a GSA schedule contract win $0 in that year. The fix for opportunity illusion that nobody wants you to know is this: there's no such thing as doing business with the government. You do business with people. Winners focus on the right question, not what can I bid, but who is my buyer? Because when you start asking those questions, anybody been in the optometrist? You see, I have vision correction. You sit in front of that big thing and they put this big set of lenses in front of you and say, better A or B? Flip. Better A, flip, or B. Better A or B. Because if you don't get it, you don't get it. You don't get the Benjamins. Winners focus on the buyer first. They flip the lens and they go, oh, I can see. And that is what brings all the opportunity into focus. So great. Here's your buyers. Overwhelmed? Well, who wouldn't be? That's absolutely normal. You've got literally millions of leads out there. Everybody needs what I do. Great. Everybody needs what I do. Now what? Where do I start? Contract data generates contact data. Contract data generates contact data. So your starting point before you even register in SAM, if you haven't done that, or go bid things, you want to focus. 2 free public sources, and these are 2 different front ends. They have almost all the same data underneath, are usaspending.gov and SAM.gov contract data. It's a different part of SAM. Most of you are familiar with SAM.gov contract opportunities. I challenge you, and you can write this down as a potential next step, go and invest a half a day of your life, or at least an hour, to understand the data that's available and the total of 6 10-minute little videos that are there as education and guidance for you to learn how to use and explore SAM.gov ad hoc data. We'll come back to that and you'll see more about why, and I have instructions on how to do that on the blog on my website. Research helps identify, you can tap that to identify who buys what you sell, how they buy what you sell, when they buy what you sell, what acquisition processes and contract vehicles they prefer. So you know how big is the government market for what you do? How big is the market in the territory or place close to where you are? Where's the business in your backyard? Which offices are your top prospects? And how can you make it easy for them to do business with you? That research will save you a truckload, a technical term, a truckload of time and effort and money. And I'm going to have a link at the end to 3 easy lessons in free federal market research so you can get a head start on tapping those resources. People, find them, woo them, win them. That's the job. People will forget what you did. People will never forget what you said, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Maya Angelou made that quote famous. She and others have been saying that truthfully in so many aspects of our relationships, but it's absolutely true in the federal market as well. Those human beings who buy need to know not just about your products and services, but how you make them feel. It's not a woo thing. It's also, how do you make them feel safe? Do you make them shine? Are you helping them achieve their mission? Do they know that you're doing that? And that's how much better they're going to be able to do that if they engage you. The next R, resources. Can you afford to play this game? You must be this tall to ride this ride. The myth about financing government business, we're going to win a contract, we're going to perform well, we're going to generate profit, then we're going to reinvest that and grow. This is the myth. Anybody who's ever gone into a new market understands or appreciates when you started your business. Sure, you bootstrapped, but you had to put something in first. I'm delighted at all the different ways that the WBENC and your RPO provide you with information and resources for access to capital because you're going to need it. The reality is first you invest new capital. You're spending on business development. And if you do that wisely, you'll not spend any more than you really need to win. You perform well, and you're going to reinvest some of it. Think about it. A really big project. How much did you actually have left for working capital at the end of paying everybody else? Not that much. It's going to take a capital investment or resource investment, whether that's cash or sweat equity, to get off the ground. The kinds of investments government contractors make. This is an old study, and I sure wish we had an update on it, but this is the kind of investment that people make new to the market with a win rate of about 20%. They might be investing about just shy of $35,000 or $40,000 over a 12-month period on their road to their first contract. More established companies spend more. Market leaders who have a 53% win rate can be spending just south of $250,000 in a 12-month period on the road to winning those contracts. Next are regulations. The rules of the game are literally being rewritten as we speak right here. Keep up with that. That's going to affect everything about how easily someone can do business with you and the rules of the game that you've got to know. You wouldn't step onto a hockey rink or a soccer pitch if you didn't know the rules. The same is true in federal contracting. The same is true at state and local. They have their own rules. And every federal agency also has an acquisition regulation supplement. You don't have to read them all. You do have to know where to find them. Possible to do for you is at least log on to acquisition.gov, go to the FAR, keep up with the news about how the rules are changing, and look at the table of contents so you know where would I go for an answer about something or other. Registration. SAM.gov, if you have an established business and you've already decided, all right, I've done my research, I think I can see the path to profitability. I'm in this for at least 18 months to 2 years, and I'm not expecting a return on my investment before then. I get it. Then SAM.gov is where you go to register to do business with the federal government. If you only are trying to win a micro purchase, a contract that's worth less than, as of last week, $15,000, you don't actually have to register on SAM to do that. But if you're in it for the long run, registering on SAM is one of the least complicated things you're going to do. Right now, there's no fee to register on SAM. The current administration is proposing to charge you money to do this. I don't know how much. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know when. stay on top of the news. You might or might not need to fill out an extra profile or provide extra information for the specific offices you're pursuing or want to build relationships with as well. Sometimes large prime contractors also need you to register in their portal. Many of you have already done this as WBEs. How to get started, how to register. For federal, SAM.gov, the section on Get Started will provide you with a roadmap and instructions and tell you what you need. Once you have assembled all your information and you've got everything together, it probably shouldn't take more than an hour, but you got to assemble all the stuff first. So logging in and out and doing a partial registration probably isn't ideal. Whether or not you can do that and how, it's all on that site. All right. Why do certifications matter? Honestly, that's a really good question. Certifications that the federal government recognizes, in addition to certification as small, which right now is self-certified based on your level of revenue or number of employees, and the North American Industrial Classification System code of the transaction for the product or service that is being procured. So your company might be large for some kinds of things and small for other kinds of things. Now, when you look at the total value on that $774+ billion of contract awards, how much of that spend was actually reserved, set aside for a competition or sole source just based on certification? Not very freaking much. Doesn't mean that it doesn't matter. The federal government does have a goal right now to award a total of 23% of its contract dollars to businesses in one or more categories of small, but they don't have to use the set-asides to achieve those goals. So if you're entering this conversation thinking, yes, but what about the 5% that's reserved for women-owned small businesses? They have a goal. A goal is a goal to award 5% of the federal contract dollars to women-owned or economically disadvantaged women-owned small businesses. They don't have to set it aside to do that. So bear that in mind. A certification can make a difference when a contracting officer has confidence in a small pool of suppliers and they've got a lot. They don't want to spend time sorting through 100 offers when they could sort through 6 really qualified companies. And a way to do that might be if they know there are 3, 4, 5, 6 companies that are in a particular small business category that they feel are going to be responsive, answer the questions, are responsible, can do the work at a fair and reasonable price. If those 3 things are true, then and only then can they set aside or reserve a competition for a smaller pool. So if you're eligible for any of these things, sure, that's an advantage that can help you. Buyers can make a smaller pool. Okay, but there are other things that give you more important advantages than your certifications, because no one is staying up late, losing sleep, going, oh my goodness, did I award enough work to HubZone companies or any of these others? They are not, because their files are filled with good faith efforts to show that they tried. So when WBE certification is not listed anywhere here, WBE certification in pursuit of government business can still be helpful, but not in direct conversations with your federal buyers. Reasons why your WBE certification and participating in WBENC, in all the opportunities you have to do that regionally and nationally, can build corporate experience. If you are doing business with PG&E, with Accenture Federal Services, with Big Pharma, building that corporate experience can show you're a capable low-risk choice. They know that AT&T doesn't hand out contracts like postage stamps. I remember going to a meet and greet and the supplier diversity rep said, all right, everybody sitting at this table, if you don't have at least $1 million in revenue, we're not going to talk to you. And I excused myself and said, I want to give my seat to somebody else who can use it. So that corporate experience, even if you've never done business with government, if you decide you want to be in, then a contract award to somebody that it has problems of a similar size and scale and region to the ones they have, could make you look like a lower risk choice and help open doors. You're
Judy,
set. Yep.
we do have a question if you
What
want
is
me
that?
to
Sure.
interject. Okay.
Yeah.
Olivia Cerner asks, very reasonable price means they expect the lower price, not the best in quality and delivery?
Great question. Price is rarely the only consideration. And so it's a mix. Sometimes I'm going to spend 15 seconds in the weeds. Sometimes there are competitions called low price technically acceptable, LPTA. Other times there's a competition called best value. So they're considering price and technical. Sometimes there's a quote out there saying, we're just going to go for lowest price. Sometimes if you have got I have 5 more seconds in the weeds. If you already hold a GSA schedule contract, then the buyers can put the requirement out on GSA eBuy, and they don't have to pick the lowest price. They can pick the one they like because GSA has already negotiated price reasonability. Okay, I would love to explore that more if you want to book some time, but I hope I've answered the question a little bit. WBE certification can also build your own network of small WOSB teaming partners and mentors. Very helpful, not least because, look, only 1% of all women-owned businesses have more than $1 million in revenue nationwide, 1%. But if there is any place in the entire country where women-owned businesses who have more than $1 million in revenue are likely to be found and show up, it would be in the WBE community. So, and finally, you definitely want to leverage advocacy resources via the discounted membership that you can get from Women Impacting Public Policy. This is a tough place, and if you have not already looked at or become aware of the ways that Women Impacting Public Policy helps keep the doors open, keeps making the WOSB program matter, keeps trying to give more heft to that program, then look at it. So these are ways that WBE certification can help you. Even though federal buyers go, what's a WBE? Don't you mean WOSB? Okay. So the biggest advantage you can get in this market is give buyers what they're looking for. Show how you solve their problems. Show how you are the low risk provider. Show them that you follow the rules, make it easy, and help them shine. Keep showing up. Be polite and persistent and bring value every time. Show that you play well with others. That means whether that's teaming, helping other people, being able to introduce them to people who aren't you, even if it's another supplier, that you're willing to go toe to toe. You just want a chance to compete. Readiness, the next R, train your team. Make sure that you are ready to invest time, people, capital, sweat equity in developing business development and federal sales skills, in writing or getting a contractor to help you write effective proposals after you have focused. So you're only writing proposals to places where you already know people. Go back to number 1. You have done BD in sales and marketing. Make sure that you are ready for compliance, financial reporting, pricing. If you're in a regime where you need cybersecurity maturation model compliance, you've taken care of that. If you're in IT and you need FedRAMP qualifications or you need security clearances, all of that takes time and money. Make sure that you are confident in the 90th percentile or better that you can deliver on time, on budget. No sweat. Relationships, relationships, relationships. I cannot say often enough, the human connection is a big freaking deal. And every single place that you want to win federal business, and this is true to a similar extent at state and local, there are players in multiple roles or multiple layers that you have to know what's up with them, what they need, what they care about, what it is about what you do that is appealing to them and helps build their trust, lower their risk, and increase their confidence in you. The earlier you get to know them before a requirement gets published, the better your odds of you being the one that they really want by the time the requirement hits the street. This is real, it's legal, and this is how the winners are successful. So, where do your company's best opportunities, long-term good money, profitability, jump in the chat. What's the source of your company's best opportunities to this point in your company's growth? 1 or 2 words. Where does it come from? I want to see about 10 answers before I move along. Network, said Ashley. Network. Who else? Existing clients, says Candace. Executive coaching, says Chris. Yeah, good to see you, Chris. Referrals, says Eric. Referrals, says Joelle. Relationships, Krista. Yeah, exactly. So the good news is that you already, if that's the case, all of you are saying some aspect of relationships. If you're good at that, and that's how your business has grown, the good news is you have already mastered 80% of the most important driver in what it'll take you to win in the federal arena. Now, 20% of that is a completely different ballgame, and that's why we're having this conversation. All right. So government business is a relationship game. Write this down. There are players at 5 layers that you need to know, and 4 you're going to need relationships with. The end users, the people who are stuck with the consequences of choosing you at the end of the day. That's everybody from the program manager all the way down to the warrior in the battle space and the frontier tier 1 help desk person. Industry, that's you, that's your competitive partners. Contracting officers who have a power that the President of the United States does not have, and that is the legal authority to bind your company to these United States in a legal agreement to provide products and services, and the people who assist them in the contracting shop. Small business specialists, an increasingly endangered life form, but there are still thousands of them out there whose job it is to help answer your questions, but they are not your buyer. Small business specialists are not your buyer. Contracting officers have signing authority. The end users are the ones who determine the priorities and whether or not there's going to be a spend. Finally, stakeholders. That could be the cabinet secretary, the CIO, the base commander. They are not in the room when you get chosen, but you've got to read their stuff, know what they say, understand what it is that their priorities are, know what that name is when they get dropped. You're going to need everywhere you want to be successful. Every single program office, every single win, you're going to need to know who these people are and have relationships with them. If you're going, that's a truckload of work. Yeah, it is. But if you're going, I'd rather just dump proposals out there, you're going to spend time and you're going to spend money. All you get to choose is the mix. Resilience. This is a long game, 12 to 24 months. They want strong companies who are going to keep showing up. You need perseverance, patience, and persistence. When they know you and love you and trust you, they will choose you. I remember my friend Ludmilla Parnell, who for many years was Director of Small Business Programs at General Dynamics IT. And she said, yeah, these people who come to trade shows, I wait and see if they've been not to 1, 2. I want to see them show up at 3 of these shows. And I know they're still around. And I want to see the company president, because I know if the company president's here, they've got to have people back at the shop actually doing stuff. It's just one person, but that's a not uncommon attitude. Comparable experience drives future wins by lowering perceived risk. Show how you're the low-risk choice, because federal buyers are some of the most risk-averse life forms on the planet. They want to know that you've solved their problem for someone who looks just like them yesterday afternoon. Closer you can get to that, and your successful projects for large corporate primes could help open the door. And I could tell you more about how that really works in real life, but trust me, and you want to highlight those experiences and services and product deliveries that are most similar to the kinds and scale and scope of the problems and requirements that your federal buyers have. They go, oh, you know us, you've done our stuff. So don't wait, create. Start small, be persistent. You want to think about what problem you can solve for less than $15,000? What problem do your products or services solve for less than $350,000? If you can answer those 2 questions, you can start to open the door for conversations that lead to work you could win without the big, hairy, expensive proposal that your federal buyer can line up and nearly get it ready to award to you. Who wants that? This is how it really works. Reporting. Compliance means, for example, keep your SAM profile current. Update it twice a year. That also means you won't get hit on by vendors who are trying to sell you services that you don't need. Make sure you've got good audits for your cost and pricing, meet cybersecurity requirements. You're going to have project compliance reports. Invest to have all your reporting done ready, because that shows that you are the low risk choice. You are safe. Response. You're going to respond Types of responses include responses to sources sought. A sources sought means we want to see whether or not there are enough capable small businesses, responsible small businesses capable of doing the business at a fair and reasonable price, so that if we get enough of those, we might think about setting it aside for some flavor of small business. If you don't respond to those, and you are annoyed that nothing ever comes up on SAM for what you do, that is like getting annoyed about who got elected when you didn't bother to vote. I know everyone here votes. Requests for information. That is like the government's kind of sort of maybe going to do a thing. We don't know how much money we got. We don't know if we're going to do it. We want to pick your brain for free. And here's all the things we want to know. This is also your opportunity to shape the conversation and the dialogue. Sometimes they are short and easy to respond to. Sometimes the effort in doing a response to a request for information is so much you're thinking, what are they going to put in the proposal? You got to decide. But these are pre-solicitation things that help you get known, engage, have an opportunity to follow up and have conversations with people, get them to know you before the big honking proposal hits the street. They might need quick quotes. You might respond to an estimate. There might be public builds. When you win, commit to delivering perfectly on time and within budget. Ask to be considered. Ask questions as you go along. Ask for engagement. Would you like a small demo? How about a capabilities briefing to show you the innovation that we can bring? Hey, would you like a tour of our facility? Some folks love a walkthrough. They're human. They like to get out of the office. You can ask, hey, who would you call if you were me? Whether you win or you lose, always ask, who else might need what I do? Where else might there be a requirement or problem like this that I could solve? What else do I need to know? What else could I have done better? So recap, the 10 R's, and we are just at the halfway point, so don't think you're going to go away yet. But the reason, know why. Get your research done, understand how to navigate the regulations, and watch for new developments because they're all being rewritten right now over the next 60, 80 days still. Have the resources to do the job. Register, invest in readiness of your team, plan a plan around relationships, invest in and expect the need to be resilient, ask for the work, and respond to the requests and ask for the business. So brace yourself. It is usually a bumpy ride. So here are the 7 truths of government business. Truth number 1, it can take 12 to 24 months to win significant work. The research that was done about a decade ago said the good news is that it takes on average about 12 months of solid work for a company to win their first federal contract. And even better, 2/3 of companies that win their first federal contract win a second one or more within another 12 months of winning the first one. And the average value of that contract was about $370,000. Yeah, that doesn't mean, oh, good, I'm going to show up for 12 months and 12 months from now, I'm going to win a $370,000 contract. Of course not. Gee, it can take days. Days can mean up to 730 days. But there's no guaranteed bad or good outcome. Be ready for this kind of consistent investment if you want to be here. Getting in front of people. Research is now showing it takes between 15 and 32 touches, 15 to 32 touches to get from contact to contract. So you can only make progress and show up in so many places. So if you're calling a mile wide and an inch deep, no one will care you are alive. You've got to go narrow and go deep and be very customized in the question, the answer, what you're offering, and ways to do it. And that is my happy place. That is my profession, is helping people understand how to get this done in ways that shorten that time from contact to contract. Truth number 3, most awards are made based on 1 to 3 bids or offers. This is a relationship game. And the data will show you how many offers were received to award that work. That's in there so you can see who's really tight with their vendors. Sole source, unique source, emergency, there are justifications for those things. If what you do can make it easy for someone to justify that, great. Some contract vehicles, types of doing business like GSA schedules, for example, can make that easier. Simplified acquisitions can also make that path easier. But these are relationship. People do business with people they like, and people do business with people they know. Many solicitations are written with the winner in mind. These requirements do not fall out of the sky. I am not saying, for those of you who are here or who have been or who are contracting professionals, that everything is always wired. No. But requirements come from someplace, and it is not unusual for vendors to have had conversations, to shape that specification, to have built relationships. So by the time the buyers are going, I really hope we get to work with these guys. So you can look at some of the ways that desired past performance is described, the evaluation criteria in the solicitation. Go, does this look like me, or does this look like those people down the street? You can see the tells or the sign you shouldn't bid. It does mean that you need to be careful about what your expectations are. And if you decide, oh, I'm just going to throw my hat in the ring, yeah, it's a real expensive hat. So you're only going to bid, and you don't think you're going to win, but you're going to do your best because, yeah, this is your opportunity to shine. And a bid could cost you $50,000, $60,000. And the lost opportunity cost of doing something else. You want to make that decision with great care. Compare what they're looking for with the contract data available. Truth number 5, federal clients hedge their bets. They want to see they've got at least 2 other companies, 2 other choices that they might be equally happy to have win. You want to be one of the people that they know and they're kind of cheering for when they get down to the final 3. Assume there are at least 3 bidders on any requirement, not even if it looks like it's wired for you. If you don't see this perfect solicitation and it's on SAM.gov and there's less than 30 days to go and you don't know the buyer and you don't know the budget and you don't know the incumbent and you don't know the history, your odds of winning are in the single digits. Bear that in mind. Not impossible, but could be better. So try to figure out who they're going to be so you can write a bid anticipating their offers and saying, yeah, but. Truth number 6, the federal government is not one customer worth billions. It's millions of people, thousands of offices, dozens of departments. You can only build relationships in so many places. Do research so you can concentrate wisely instead of, oh, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission is having a WBE and let's go there. No. Is it in your plan? No. Then you're not going. Stop fishing for stuff. Focus your sales efforts on no more than 5 federal departments, possibly less. DOD is not a client. Aberdeen Proving Ground inside in Aberdeen, Maryland, within the United States Army, that might be a potential client. DHS is not a buyer. The Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Glencoe, Georgia, that might be a buyer. Yeah. So, truth number 7, relationships matter. Buyers may try to level the playing field, but if you do your homework and review the data, you will plainly see this is a relationship game. Relationships will always matter. So winners invest for success, and there's our little guy and why he's safe on the roller coaster by getting training and support from experienced experts who've been there and know what to expect, who love the journey, and who have taken companies like yours to success. Government business is a relationship game, and it's a team sport. Tap both. And hat tip again to the wonderful people at Women Impacting Public Policy who go to Capitol Hill, who help keep those doors open and keep the WBE and ED-WBE programs mattering. We've covered a lot. WBEC-West said, are you going to cover all of that in an hour? Oh, yeah, I'm going to even leave time for questions. Watch me. So we covered how to assess your readiness, 7 truths, how to identify real opportunities, what buyers are really looking for, how to get registered, certifications that matter and why. And we're going to hit up on potential next steps if you're ready. And we're going to do that second self-assessment. I'm going to ask you how much we move the needle. So right now, though, please drop in the chat, what's your biggest takeaway from our session today? Or what one thing are you going to do as a result? But what's your aha or takeaway from our session today? What was really resonating with you? Eric says relationships matter. And I want you to do this because it also points out important things to jog other people's memory. Go, oh yeah, that. So I want to take a second and help each other for a second. Say, what's your big aha or takeaway? Something you learned. 5 layers of relationships, said Krista. Corporate clients are a great bridge to government. Yeah, Candace, absolutely. And I've got a free on-demand webinar on my website about that. Select the target and agency. Yes. Prepare for the required documents before you start registration. Yep. Ashley, it is possible with strategic BD. Yes, thank you, Ashley. Continue cultivating risk. Government COs are people too. Federal government is a customer, not DOD is not a customer. It's time to research at a deeper level. Yes, yes, and yes. Awesome sauce. I have resources for you, and we're going to spend time answering questions. Dedicate time to research. You bet. Are you ready? Go, slow, or whoa. So you may want to screenshot this one. So get your screenshot key set up. I've got a quick self-assessment quiz you can give yourself based on 10 different criteria. And so you can rank yourself on a scale of 1 to 5 and figure out what your readiness score would be. And so if you're curious or you're either struggling in the federal market or you're trying to think about whether or not to get in, real quick, screenshot this as a possible to do for later. Okay, I'm going to leave this up here for a minute. Let me know, all right, when you've just type got it in the chat or give me a thumbs up so I know I can move on. I want you to be able to grab this screenshot so you can have that conversation with yourself, with your team, with your business partners. Let me know you've got it. So I want to make sure you've got it. And Renita, maybe you could screenshot it as well and maybe capture that so we could share it out afterward, okay?
Okay, gotcha.
All right, do you have it, Renita? You've got it in the handout. All right, you've got it in the PDF. Okay.
Got it.
So, okay, thank you. So support. What if I could tell you that there were free resources in your neighborhood paid for by your tax dollars who can help you chart a path to success, not just in federal, but also state and local government? These are the Apex accelerators, and there are some in a city near you. Some of you are familiar with something that used to be called the Procurement Technical Assistance Centers, or PTACs. This is the successor. They are 50% funded by Department of Defense Office and Small Business Programs and 50% by local partners. Typically, you will find the one that's near you. Your business must be domiciled in the place in the state and region from which you ask for support from the Apex Accelerator. That's how it works. So find the one that's appropriate for your business. Look at their website. Look at the services they offer. That many of them will ask you to set up a profile or register. They might need you to go to an initial free briefing. Their services are free. They're often staffed by people who have been federal contractors, have been federal buyers. They offer contacts, counseling, courses, connections. What is not to like? Until you have hit the dinger on the Funometer, on the free stuff, don't pay people for help when your tax dollars can help you. Some of them are overtasked. You may have to wait to get an appointment. I get that. But I want to let you know that there's free expert help available coast to coast right now. So what will your next steps be? Some that you might consider. Confirm you're ready. Talk with your team. Decide what your go, no-go criteria would be for the federal market, not bid, no bid, which you'll be making again and again. But what should be true for our company to invest 2 years of time and money on the road to growing our company? Is this the right move of all the things we could be doing with our time and resources and working capital? Draft your budget, meet your Apex Accelerator. Start your research, even before you register if you haven't registered. Just because you can do business with the federal government does not mean you should. Deciding that, well, I need to rack up some corporate wins that are really going to be doorbusters in a good way. Great move. Okay. Don't start bidding right away. Register, apply for certifications, build a structured sales plan, meet the players at all the layers, start small, be persistent. If you learn more, you'll spend less and win sooner. All right. Closing self-assessment. Now, on a scale of 1 through 7, strongly disagree or strongly agree? 1. My company has strong prospects with government buyers. 1 through 7. I know the top challenges I can expect. 1 through 7. And I know exactly what my next 3 steps are going to be. 1 through 7. Now, you did this 45 minutes ago. You're doing it again now. Drop in the chat how much your score has changed since we got together. I want to see the delta. How much did your number change? How much did your number change? How much did we move the needle for you? By 7, says Laura. 4, says Annette. 1 each, plus 1 each. Okay, so that's 3. LaDonna showed up real smart. She knows the things, or at least I hope you came in. Yes, whoa, says Renita. Increased by 5. Yep, 5 to 7 for all. Fantastic. We've done our job. If you've moved the needle, great. If you came up with 0 and you didn't know anything when you started, I am real concerned, and I want to make sure that call me later because I want to make sure you got your questions answered if we didn't cover them. We have resources for you. My book and my workbook are on Amazon. You can grab them. It's not because I make tons of money selling books, but if you couldn't have me by your elbow answering all your questions, this may give you a running start. And the workbook includes practical exercises, including those ones on market research that you can use right away. Another bonus, 3 easy lessons in free federal market research. Tap it, download it, it is free. I actually have on my website, growfedbiz.com, lots of free on-demand webinars and at least a dozen guides, checklists, and stuff. Go grab the stuff. I'm yours. All right, so what other questions do we have? Let me know. And if for some reason you've got to go, then here's where to find me. Connect with me on LinkedIn. You can book a call. Happy to do that with you as well. So, all right, be sure to come off mic if you can, or let me know your question or your comments. I would love to know, how did we do? What was valuable for you? If somebody asked you, should we engage Judy to do this? What would you tell them? It's open Q&A time, but I would also like to get your feedback and your comments. What else have we got, Renita?
Oh, we have
Hi,
one
Judy.
person who wants to know just exactly how would you know if you are supposed to be going after federal or state or local contracts?
How to choose? It has everything to do with your ability to identify good prospects, figure out how much time, effort, and money you're willing to invest to win opportunities, and try to get a sense of how much you would need to win and profit for that investment to pay off. I help people make those assessments all the time. But your Apex Accelerator, again, your tax dollars have paid for their help to try to sort that out. But it has everything to do with your goals. If your goal as a company isn't necessarily around money and profit, but you want to make a difference in your local school board or your local community, or to support emergency response in California, that may be a reason why state and local is a better choice for you. It depends on your criteria and your goals as a business owner. What else we got?
All right, I'm going to scroll back up. If you have a question, just jump right on in while I scroll up the chat to see what we might have missed.
Judy, thank you. It's Yolanda. Thank you for this incredibly insightful and informative webinar. My question is, I do professional services, executive coaching, team trainings, that type. And I don't know that I often see those type of opportunities. And so I'm curious if this is the right path for me, or if I'm just overlooking a certain area to be doing the research.
You are not missing things, first of all. Tell me, how often is the kind of the value, the contract value for an engagement for executive coaching worth more than $350,000?
That would be a lot of people that I could serve.
No, but how often, when you think about the kinds of contracts you typically do, are they typically over or under $15,000?
I would say they're more between 20 to 50,000.
Okay. So the contract awards in your dollar sweet spot might not show up on SAM.gov because, or as often. So and if you could do some initial stuff for under 15, that's a relationship sale. So it's not going to show up on SAM. Okay. When you think about the way that, say, maybe you have had a client that you've done $200,000 worth of stuff over maybe an 18-month period. You've got a couple of clients like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Did it start that way? Or what were the initial coaching engagements worth?
I would say when I'm supporting an entire school district, it has started at around 50K, and then it has grown from that.
Right. But was the initial award, they never heard of you and they said, okay, here you go, 50,000 right out of the box? Or did they do a
Yes.
smaller one first?
Initial 50.
Okay, good. And so those don't wait, create. You want to build the relationship and create a small project so they get to know you, and
Okay.
then they can start to build the scope in a way that really is built around the criteria for success that only you can give them. Does that help?
I got you. Thank you.
Okay. What other questions we got?
We don't have any new questions right now in the chat, Judy, but it is 2:00, so you are free to leave if you want to. If you do want to drop a question in the chat, Judy will hang on for a few more minutes to answer those questions, or you can email her at the email address that you see on the screen, and she will get back to you when she has time, which is most likely as soon as possible.
Fantastic.
You're welcome. I see you, Angela. Nice to see you, Angela. Thanks for coming. Thanks, Yolanda Greer, for coming. Very familiar last name there, Greer, so thank you. Thank you, Candace. I think everyone is slowly starting to trickle out. Again, if you do have any extra questions, drop them in the chat, or you can just pop on screen right now and ask. We're down to 13 people, so it'll be just a little bit more intimate if you're shy.
All right.
Hey, Bernie. Unfortunately, I was on a client call that ran late. Will you be sharing the recording of this meeting?
If Tara's here, she can answer that question a little bit more specifically.
Yes, so that the recording will be up within 2 to 3 days, and it will be in the WBE resource portal.
The resource portal. Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, if we don't have any more questions, I just want to thank you all for coming to today's WBE Expert Series. Thank you, Judy, for sharing all of your expertise on today's matter. I know our WBEs are leaving with a little bit more confidence about how to approach those federal contracts. And if you're still here, it's because maybe you just haven't gotten to your computer to leave the meeting yet. Or you have a question and you're waiting for the crowd to dwindle down even more, but we're down to 8 people.
Okay.
So again, if you have any questions,
thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me. It has been a pleasure to be a part of the WBEC-West community for the last hour or so. Please stay in touch, and I look forward to next time. Thank you so much.
All right, Judy.
All right then. Bye-bye.